Have you ever met someone who just has presence? They walk into a room and suddenly everyone listens, not because they're loud or flashy, but because something about them feels grounded, magnetic, and intentional. That's what Robert Greene calls true power. And in his conversation with Steven Bartlett in Diary of a CEO, he breaks down how that presence is built, not from manipulation, but from self-mastery. Welcome back to Constantly Curious. Today we're trying out a new segment in this podcast where I summarize and share with you what I learned from my favorite conversations featured in Diary of a CEO. Today I want to unpack the biggest lessons from that talk about seduction, confidence, and power, and how they actually all come from the same place. 1. Seduction isn't about romance, it's about attention. When most people hear seduction, they think of dating, attraction, maybe even manipulation. Greene redefines it completely. To him, seduction is the art of making people feel seen. It's about emotional attunement, understanding what someone truly needs, even when they don't say it out loud. He says great seducers are outward focused. They're not obsessed with being interesting, they're obsessed with being interested. They watch, they listen, they pick up subtle cues. Greene calls the opposite anti-seduction. It's when we get so stuck in our heads, so self-absorbed, so eager to be right or admired, that we stop noticing others. And he makes a powerful distinction. Vulnerability is seductive. Insecurity is not. Vulnerability invites connection. Insecurity demands reassurance. One opens the door, the other drains the room. It's a small but critical difference, because when you learn to connect through curiosity, not performance, you naturally become magnetic. You stop thinking, how do I impress this person? And start thinking, how do I make them feel understood? That shift alone changes everything. At work, in relationships, even in how people remember you. 2. Confidence is a byproduct, not a performance. We live in a culture obsessed with fake it till you make it. Smile bigger, talk louder, act certain. But Greene argues that real confidence isn't something you can perform, it's something you earn. He says confidence comes from evidence, from doing the work, mastering the craft, building skills until your body knows you can handle the challenge. That's why false confidence feels hollow. It has no foundation. People sense the gap between posture and substance. Greene explains it like this. We're wired to read body language on a subconscious level. We notice micro gestures, tone, rhythm, energy. Even when someone's words sound confident, their body tells a different story. So the way to build true confidence isn't through affirmations. It's through repetition, through competence. Every time you practice something, public speaking, negotiation, whatever, you're training your nervous system to stay calm under pressure. It's the same with social confidence. Being good with people isn't an inborn gift. It's a learned skill. You have to practice being around people, listening, reading cues, and staying present even when you're nervous. Greene's advice is simple. Don't wait to feel confident to act. Act and confidence will follow. The more you do, the less your fear controls you. And that's something most of us forget. We want to think our way into confidence, when in reality, confidence grows in motion, not in thought. 3. Power starts within, not above. This is where Greene really shines, his take on power. He says, people misunderstand power as domination, as hierarchy. But real power, the kind that lasts, is internal. It's the ability to influence without forcing. To move people not through fear, but through clarity and calm. He calls it being inner-directed. You act from your own compass instead of reacting to the chaos around you. Because when your sense of power depends on validation, approval, or other people's reactions, you're not powerful, you're fragile. One criticism, and you crumble. One rejection, and your energy collapses. Greene's version of power is built on self-knowledge and self-control. He says, if you can't control yourself, how can you control anything in your environment? It's about managing your own impulses, your ego, your anger, your need to be liked. When you can stay calm and strategic under stress, people start trusting your leadership. He also points out that sometimes power means withholding, not showing all your cards, not oversharing your plans. Total transparency might sound noble, but in competitive settings, it can make you predictable. And predictable people are easy to outmaneuver. 4. The long game, mastery, and patience. Underneath all of this, Greene circles back to something deeper, mastery. He reminds us that seduction, confidence, and power aren't quick tricks. They're skills that develop over time, and they all rely on patience. To master anything, whether it's art, leadership, or even emotional intelligence, you have to endure boredom, repetition, and setbacks. He talks about finding your life task, that one area where your natural inclinations and your deepest curiosity align. When you commit to that, you start to generate quiet confidence, because you're no longer chasing status, you're building substance. Greene also shares how humility and gratitude play into this. Life can change in an instant: health, career, relationships, so staying grounded in gratitude keeps you from becoming arrogant. It's a very human, very reflective moment in the interview. He talks about his own health scares and how they reshaped his perspective on success and ambition. In a way, he's saying, power is fleeting if it's not rooted in perspective. 5. Practical takeaways. So, how do we take these lessons and live them out? First, shift from impression to connection. Instead of trying to look impressive, try to understand people. Notice what they need, what they feel. Real influence starts there. Second, trade fake confidence for skill confidence. Pick one area: communication, leadership, creative work, and practice deliberately. Confidence is earned through proof, not posturing. Third, build inner power. Work on controlling your emotional reactions. Notice when you're triggered by criticism or ego. The person who stays calm when others lose control is always the most powerful one in the room. And finally, play the long game. Whether it's your career or relationships, commit to mastery. The results won't come fast, but they'll last. 6th, closing reflection. Listening to Robert Greene reminded me how much of our culture chases shortcuts: instant influence, instant success, instant validation. But the truth is, real power doesn't announce itself. It's quiet, grounded. It's the energy of someone who doesn't need to prove anything because they've already done the work. And that's what draws people in, what seduces, inspires, and leads. So maybe the real question for all of us is this: what kind of power are we building? The kind that depends on attention, or the kind that comes from alignment? Because in the end, power, confidence, and seduction all start the same way: by mastering the self. Thanks for listening. If you found this breakdown useful, share it with someone who loves Robert Greene's ideas, or someone who's working on building their confidence from the inside out. I'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to Constantly Curious.